anchored at Biloxi's harbors and marinas to move to safer waters by this afternoon. This is video of the Pops Ferry drawbridge raised for several minutes to allow the parade of boaters to move inland. Let's go now to the Gulf Coast Chief Meteorologist Alan Sealls with the latest on Tropical Storm Sally. And Alan, Sally's going to be bringing a lot of rain to our area.
A lot of rain for our area. Most of the wind will bypass us, but look at the radar right now. The center of Sally is offshore, and there's a lot of rain around it and behind it, and that's going to be an issue, especially if it slows down. It means a couple, if not several days of periods of rain over and over again. So that's our biggest threat right now. Rain that will add up, creating flash flooding, local flooding, soaking the soil, allowing trees to fall even with small amounts of wind. So keep up with that. Make sure you have a plan for rising water. High wind, now that's a relative term. We're not going to get hurricane force winds. We'll get tropical storm force winds, and along the coast they will be relatively high, as in 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts, maybe a little bit higher than that. Most of us will not see extreme wind. Storm surge, certainly an issue. I'll show you that in just a moment, and then an increasing threat of tornadoes. We'll get through this evening and tonight without any weather issues. That's 8 o'clock in the morning, and what it shows as you watch this forecast projection, by tomorrow evening, that's when the rain really starts to set in, and then it continues tomorrow night into Tuesday and continues Tuesday night into Wednesday. As it does so, the winds will shift, and we'll focus on the winds in just a little bit, but that shifting wind is going to increase our storm surge. So here's what we have right now. 60 mile an hour winds from Tropical Storm Sally. The motion is west-northwest at 9. It'll be a steady motion until it gets to southeastern Louisiana. Then it's going to slow down and begin a turn. Now, near landfall, somewhere across southeastern Louisiana, winds could be 90 miles an hour. We won't feel those here, but as it slows and makes that turn, it keeps us on the right side for a longer period of time, increasing our flood threat from rain and also increasing our storm surge duration. So lots of things to watch between late tomorrow going into late on Wednesday easily. Remnants will, of course, head toward Tennessee. So rainfall projections may be as high as 20 inches right off the southeastern tip of Louisiana. So the closer you are to that part of the world, the heavier the rain and the wind. For us, though, easily a foot of rain along our coastline over the course of the next 3 days. North of Highway 98, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain, and toward Highway 84, it's going to be more like 4 or 5 inches, or maybe a little bit less. These numbers can be adjusted, but make sure, again, you have a plan. Starting tomorrow, we'll go under a flash flood watch, and the watch means watch and be prepared. We do have warnings for tropical storm force wind from the Florida coastline across South Mobile and Baldwin counties, and then hurricane warnings farther toward the west. You will notice a tropical storm watch now for inland portions of Mississippi. That means Greene County, George County, you could see winds over 40 miles an hour. The risk of tornadoes right now, too early to tell, but it always starts near the coast. That's something we'll watch for more closely tomorrow. Now look at these forecast winds. The brightest colors show where the strongest winds will be offshore. This is tomorrow evening, 4 o'clock. Winds near the beaches about 30 miles an hour, the steady winds, and that'll be from the east. Notice they don't go up a whole lot beyond that. Steady winds into Tuesday morning. They will gust, though, 40, 50 miles an hour. Inland, it will certainly be breezy with winds maybe 20, 25 miles an hour going into Tuesday afternoon. Again, hurricane force winds stay away from us. So storm surge, water levels along the Florida Panhandle, they could be 1 to 3 feet above typical, 2 to 4 feet for Mobile and Baldwin counties. Expect the causeway to flood by late Tuesday and Wednesday, and then 4 to 7 feet for the Mississippi coast, 7 to 11 for southeastern Louisiana. So when you take those numbers, don't forget our normal tide cycle. Our next high tide after tonight is going to be tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Low tide tomorrow is at 9, and the difference between the low and the high is about 1.5 feet. So account for that wherever you live. Now, as you watch all this, most of us, our minds go back to Hurricane Laura, which rapidly strengthened. I can't say this won't do that, but it's something we have to be mindful of. What also was unique about Laura, the tornadoes happened even before it made landfall in those far outer bands. But also think back to Marco a few weeks ago, And what Marco showed us is hurricanes are not a perfectly symmetrical circular system. All the rain was on one side, the little feeder bands were on the other, and the dry air was on the other side. That's what we have right now in Mobile, bands of rain moving through, and your 7-day tracker shows much more of that, 80 to 90 to 100% coverage the next several days. Stay with us, there's more news after this.